Welcome to another Park Conte interview. I'll be talking about, the current, future, and bit of history about, APU. And recently there's been a trend of, the mega APU trend. So, historically, well, historically, APU has been done by the two mega giants that you have likely heard of, and that's AMD and Intel. AMD less of, but I bet you have heard of Intel. That you see their stuff everywhere, and every retailer has, and every OEM's has multiple SKU of the same Intel product, and you're wondering why. That's because Intel holds a majority market share of APU these days. And on top of the history, and on top of recently, we started to have, some trend of, the current APUs that are now bigger than more than just, or what I consider mega APUs, but that's more workstation or more capable or gaming capable, thanks to, the also thanks to the consoles finally upgrading themselves to using modern day CPU and GPU, as well as the AI boom. Those guys, they demand mega APUs be made. So the three giants you see on screen had just made these mega APUs: NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. The two basically compare in the two met dual fight is basically NVIDIA and AMD. AMD is more end user focused and more consumer, since their Ryzen AI APU seems to be more fitted towards, gaming consoles, laptop, desktop use, and NVIDIA, on the other hand, with their NX APU, NX Mega APUs, very, very targeted specifically for one audience: the data center, and, for the wealthy enthusiasts who are willing to pony up over 10 freaking thousand. We're talking minimum of ponying up 10,000 US dollars to buy those hardware, and willing to spend thousands and thousands of US dollars on software licensing to NVIDIA, and be like, hey, here's for all those, data center software and those enthusiast AI software. AMD, on the other hand, is more of, okay, here's our Ryzen AI Mega APUs. Here's the limitation. Go ham. Go do it within the limitation. So the AMD Ryzen Mega APU or the Ryzen AI APU, those things, they cap out at 128 gigabyte. The 64 gigabyte variant, it seems to be the entry level for most for the most workstation people, and that's for the 128 gigabyte is for the people that's willing to splurge a little bit out for the AI Pro Max Plus APU. You're definitely getting the 128 gigabyte. You're not going cheap out on getting the 64 gigabyte. The 64 gigabyte seems to be a bit more on the Ryzen AI Pro Max. Those customers where it's like, yeah, I'm okay with saving, I don't know, 1,000 US dollars, and okay with the two missing GPU cores, and basically this is pretty good. And as for the gamers, I think the best combination is the AI Pro. If you want to be a premium AAA title gamer, it is worth paying for the 64 gigabyte variant. But if you're a bit more of the lightweight or even a double A gamer, at 48 gigabyte or 32 gigabyte is kind of all you need. The base model is all you need. The other thing with NVIDIA NX, that thing is basically 128 gigabyte, whether you like it or not. Is there lower SKU of the NVIDIA NX APU? Yes, but it really doesn't make sense. You're already spending 10,000 US dollars. You might as well go all out and just go buy the best NVIDIA NX APU and just get everything loaded on top. You're not really saving money. the $1,000 that you're going to be saving on a $10,000 PC, or it's not really worth it. So I don't know why people are buying the lower end SKU NXs, but you do you. But anyway, and as for you probably have told, hey, welcome commentary, why did you not mention Intel Mega APU? That is because Intel Mega APUs they exist on the market. There's many products using Intel Mega APU. Problem, they are not gaming or even AI data center focus, and a lot of them are basically running on glorified fucking notebook, feeling like notebook that and just happens to play some video game, an esport game at 60 FPS or independent, and if you're willing to do a bit of tinkering, you can do high refresh rate gaming with these Intel Mega APU. And as I said, you probably heard me say tinkering. That's right. These Intel Mega APU, it is for tinkerers only, and for the people that is really okay with having maximum of 32 GB of shared RAM between the CPU and the GPU. Which, for most gamers, some gamers that don't want to tinker, guess what? They're gonna go buy AMD. For the ones that are willing and can buy it on sale, the NVIDIA Mega APU can be a very good choice. But the problem is, I don't think it's worth the hassle tinkering for these Mega APU, and as a result, Intel has basically canned the Intel Mega APU with Intel Arc Discrete iGPU, since it requires custom drivers by the system vendor. You just can't be like taking a generic Intel Discrete Arc driver and just slap it onto your Lunar Lake, onto your Intel Mega APU and be like, yeah, it's gonna work absolutely fine. And time to talk about the other giant in this elephant, the consoles, finally using the much more updated modern day Ryzen and RDNA GPU core, which you guessed it, the console that are doing this is done with AMD, and those console manufacturers, you probably guessed it, is Sony PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, Xbox Series S and X. Those guys have finally just went, okay, AMD, we want to modernize. Hey, we see this AMD Ryzen AI APU. Let's make some custom tweaks to it, and let's put it onto our SoC. And on top of, well, this has resulted in, well, we have these Ryzen AI APUs and these laptop desktops and stuff that are using Ryzen AI, but which again, for us gamers, yay, console games are no longer using ancient fucked up hardware or ancient GPU and CPU, and we actually have, if you're a gamer, and you don't really want a PC, you want a dedicated game box, it's no longer using ancient hardware. The other competitor of basically the console gaming audience, it is NVIDIA. NVIDIA, you probably didn't know this, but Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 is using a custom variant of the NVIDIA NX SoC. Yes, it doesn't cost $10,000. It's because NVIDIA has cut it. It's because Nintendo has cut it down as much as possible, and they're just buying it up in bulk that no data center and no AI enthusiast can do. As a result, NVIDIA is giving Nintendo a really, really sweetheart deal for those custom variant of the NX SoC for the Switch 1 and Switch 2. You're wondering, why does Intel have a stake in these consoles? No! There is no gaming console that is on this market that uses NVIDIA Intel Arc Mega APU. Hence, Intel has no stake in the freaking console industry. And on top of that, as a result of that, they kind of made themselves. And since the APU is, as I previously alluded to, is pretty vendor-specific requirement support, has basically made them quite unviable within the OEMs. They're not happy keeping it around. DIY sector for sure are okay with it, but they're like waiting for fire sale where Intel has to sell them out of loss for the inventory to even move. And also, lastly, the future of Mega APU. The 4 brands are incoming. Intel, they are kind of completely giving up on the Mega APU with them, and they have, instead of using Intel Discrete, they're going to be using NVIDIA Discrete. NVIDIA, on the other hand, they'll be like, okay, our SoC are not gonna be stuck on Windows on ARM, and right now NVIDIA and MediaTek, that SoC is going absolute nowhere, and it's not going. It's like at best having a lot of trouble going through the final stages of data centers. So what the fuck do you think is gonna happen when they try NVIDIA be like, hey, we're gonna put our NVIDIA shiny mindshare onto Windows on ARM? I think we all know Windows on ARM is not great. Linux on ARM, again, same thing. Requires quite a lot of tinkering, and I think NVIDIA and Intel themselves like, okay, let's do what we all good at. Intel good at the CPU front, NVIDIA good at the GPU front. Let's combine their strength together and let it go and compete against AMD, which is the unique position of, since they're AMD Radeon and AMD Ryzen CPU section is both really good, and as a result, as of currently, they're absolutely dominating this Mega APU market, and basically, hopefully, this Intel and NVIDIA collaboration between the Mega APU is going to push AMD to lower the price, since AMD tends to do that when there is competition, or they start innovating to keep that $5,000 workstation laptop with these Ryzen AI Max Pros APUs. And as for, well, ARM, these guys, they're gonna be kind of like, I think they're gonna be keep chugging along with Qualcomm on the consumer front, and NVIDIA, I don't think that's, as I previously said, it's not going to be really a thing. And as for, well, data centers, those guys, they're willing to go down dirty, do everything themselves. They're willing to support and cut costs with ARM. I think in data center, ARM is going to do great, but other than that, I really don't see ARM as a viable option in the future of this Mega APU market. But anyway, guys, that brings the end to another button commentary video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, do the typical content creator asking their viewers of like, hey, do the like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video.